Bans have gone out for Battlegrounds Cheaters. Roadmaps are not a thing anymore. Galan looks to be coming to the game with MCOC Socials showing images. San Diego Comic-Con reveals spicy future for MCU and much more. Damn, what a weekend it's been when it comes to Marvel Cinematic Universe reveals, Marvel Contest of Champions sort of teases, and other stuff as well. Man, what a weekend it's been. Also, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe with post notifications on all just before we get into the spicy topics. Now we kick off the show with micro news. Micro news is basically stuff that's information just to give out to you very quickly that doesn't really have any great kind of substance that we have to go over in a great amount of time. Breathe. Okay, so the first one is all about the Cav Nexus Worship Wonder Pack. At the start of the month, people were losing out on one of the Cavalier crystals, and it's taken a long time for people to get that compensation. The compensation for that went out on the 22nd. If for whatever reason you did not receive it, make sure to reach out to Kabam on this particular subject. Up next is MCU. We don't really do MCU news, but I was like, do you know what? Let's talk about this. An insane time at San Diego Comic-Con. Lots of trailers. I'm sure that with the D23 that's coming up at the Disney Type Expo, we're going to get a lot more than what we saw here, especially from a coverage standpoint. I'm actually looking forward to Phase 5 and Phase 6 more than Phase 4. Phase 4 has just been this kind of like boring bridge to like bridge the gap. And also with a Phase 6 which sees Fantastic Four and other slates for other films, which is kind of annoying because I was hoping to see something like Deadpool 3 announced or confirmed, but let's face it, it's probably going to be in amongst some of this stuff. The Avengers returning back, especially in, 3 years' time for some big outings with the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Seems like this could be a really kind of good two-parter, which could be incredibly spicy at the same time. Roll on the next few years. The reason we mention obviously that because San Diego Comic-Con did lead to some Marvel Insider information. Shout out to Billy D for collecting all of this together. So there is some info there on Marvel Insider codes to each get 10,000 points. And there is some more points like listed together, like the different types of activities and the points right there. So yeah, I'll leave that on screen. You can take a pause of it and kind of get that. And finally, if these are still available on Marvel Insider, then there's the Women of Marvel panel code, there's the Twitter trivia, and also the booth trivia day for all the answers right there for those that want any of those codes. Pause the screen and take them. And next up, we go on to new champions coming into Marvel Contest of Champions. And that is Galan. You can see Galan, or, you know, the early form of Galactus. The biggest problem with, whenever we get like leaks for new champions in game, it does lead and breed to a lot of confusion, especially when we had like Hulkling and a lot of people were like, oh, it's a new Hulk. But it's like, no, it wasn't a new Hulk. The same problem I think we can really kind of have with Galan coming to the contest. What this can largely build into is a lot of misunderstanding, but also a lot of misunderstanding from what Kabam are planning with a character. Especially because this is a big character. It's not like this is just like a little character coming into Marvel Contest. It has a big backstory and a big implication of what it can do to Marvel Contest. And also like the powers, that's going to be like a big question. So yes, this is going to be like a preview version of Galactus. And I'm going to focus the second video of today possibly on focusing on like, you know, the backstory of Galan and how he kind of like factors his powers, how maybe he won't be as powerful within the inroads of Marvel Contest, and maybe he will be like, I don't know, just, I don't know. I really don't know, like Doctor Doom kind of level kind of power compared to his Galactus form. It's a bit of a difficult one to explain. This is why I think that I need to go into more depth, detail, and research in order to kind of like build a picture. Which this is the problem with Kabam not doing motion comics, because you don't really get an idea of, okay, so this guy is at a low level of power and then he kind of comes to a bigger power, and whilst at a lower power threshold that he's not going to be able to destroy any champion just by going flick, doing a flick kind of like thing like in Thor Love and Thunder. So yeah, don't be flicking earths, and let's see. I'll another video later on, we'll try and see if we can look into this particular character. Now let's talk about a subject which is roadmaps. Roadmaps have been something of a bit of a bane of Kabam's life, because first of all they're like, oh, we're happy to announce stuff that we're going to be looking to do, and then the next time over the last, say, year to 2 years, it's been like, we don't want to say what we're doing because people hold us accountable and we get a bit butthurt because we're not delivering on stuff. It's a very weird situation, especially because like you would hope with the amount of money that goes into Kabam that they would be able to have sufficient developers or volume of developers being able to come together to collaborate on stuff to deliver a lot of stuff for the game. The same way that, you know, other developers are able to have, you know, time to make a game. You know, you look at like big games, like billion-dollar games, which Marvel Contest of Champions is, where you kind of go, huh, aren't you able to work at the same pace as other games developers? Unfortunately, it seem the answer to that is no, which I find bemusing, but it is what it is. So, well, over the years, if you've seen a video I produced a little while ago, I want to say it was last year or something, or start point of this year, which was called Dev Diary Performance, or Roadmap Performance, whatever you want to kind of call it. I had this little key at the top, which was like, Kabam went back on this, or was lacking, not being delivered in game, completed, which I can't spell, completed in game, and somewhat in game. And there's some other things that were kind of like not on here, including like music changes, which Kabam did do. There's a lot of stuff Kabam has done within the game, Act 2 rewards revamp, and that's something that, you know, I did kind of like miss off here. So apologies to Kabam on that. But there are still like a lot of things that have not been substantially kind of like reworked in game. So when I recorded this is relevant up to the point of this, you know, being a thing. Strikers, which were meant to be a permanent part of the game, which they only seem to be in some sort of like limited capacity on coming back, have not been in game, and they're meant to tie into relics in some sort of capacity, which is still something not in game. Masteries 2.0, which was announced back in 2021, is not here in 2022. The Wish Crystal, which was announced in 2020, is not here in 2022. And Alliance Raids, which were announced in 2020, is still not here in 2022. There's a lot more other things as well, like incursions improvements haven't really been done since 2020. Duel and fight again. I want to say that's is that part of in here? I'm not sure. Fight replays. There's a lot of stuff that basically, in a nutshell, there's a lot of stuff that has not been like put back into game, or put into game. And it looks like variants have been completely abandoned when it comes to like nearly, you know, I thought May 2022 we might see a new variant. And it looks like that's not the case with that, as well as you know, Grandmaster Gauntlet not coming back as well. There's a lot of stuff really with this, and the solo competitive mode Battlegrounds is still in beta at the moment because, you know, it's not a finished product; it's only part finished. But in any case, the topic of roadmaps did come up again, and it's definitely a thing that is interesting to see, and I think it's a good thing for us as player base to have hype around what the plans are for the future, and as well feel like that element of transparency for, okay, well, something's coming down the line, to also keep those veteran players still interested that down the line, you know, they have something coming on that will be new, that will be fun, that will be a new experience, that will be a quality of life improvement. So all those things that, you know, you'd like to be hyped around the game and all that stuff. This did prompt the response from Kabam, which I do find a bit ridiculous, and I understand where they're coming from, but it is a bit ridiculous for what you need to be doing with the game, with a nearly 8-year-old game, to continue hype for old players playing the game and also get, you know, new players interested, but mainly for like veteran players. You do need to create some kind of like hype for the future. And like, I must say, Kabam Jackson does a great job with doing that, in order to kind of, when the question is like, what are you doing with relics? And it's like, well, we are still planning to develop it. At least to know that like something's happening with it, that's good. At least that's good to kind of like know that these things are still on the radar. But other than that, there'll just be radio silence. And radio silence with Marvel Contest of Champions in the community, it is worse than anything. No one wants that. In any case, lingering sense of some of the community that anything that didn't see release was an undelivered promise, and it comes up often enough to cause hesitation. Roadmaps are not promises, but rather concepts and ideas that the team are working towards. If they get to a step of development and decide a feature isn't going to provide a good player experience or cannot feasibly fit into our game in current state, they should step away from it and refocus. Then are we not seeing relics anymore? Which we probably will, because it's a good kind of like premium element of currency, which Kabam will, you know, focus on. It's a good money maker. It'll be a good money maker, of course it will. So we'll probably see that. But what about the Wish Crystal? Again, that's a good feature that players want to see. Why is it not there? with stale modes like Alliance Quest and Alliance Wars, which Kabam just constantly like tinker with each season or each month, which you kind of go, well, look, you're polishing the same turd effectively. It's been 8 years with the same stuff. Alliance raids, you said you were going to do it, but then look to it. Create something new, dynamic, innovation. And that's one of the big things I think that from speaking to a lot of old Kabam employees is like the lack of availability to innovate in game. A lack of innovation is one of the reasons that a lot of developers end up leaving Kabam because of that. But, you know, look, Kabam are hesitant with these things, I get it. But at the same time, you need to create hype for the future for new stuff you're putting in your game. You can't rely on the same modes. Yes, Battlegrounds are coming in. Good. That's what players wanted. Excellent. But there are other stuff that Kabam would be best off doing for the player base. Not about going, oh, you promised this and isn't going to provide a good player experience. A lot of the stuff that you announced does provide a good player experience. If Kabam are saying to themselves, we know what players want, but players are telling you the opposite, then what are you doing? In any case, I digress. If we do proceed with a new roadmap, we will have people that are mad about the old roadmaps. I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, this, to be honest, I'll read a little bit more of this, but it just seems like it's very kind of like, no, this is the reason what we're not. A new roadmap is something that we are interested in putting together. I think we established early on that these are concepts and ideas and are not guaranteed to see release. It's something we could all move forward with and could provide some transparency of what's happening behind the scenes, and it could give us all an idea of what we should look forward to. No, not look forward to. Look to what players respond with, okay? So if you put out a load of stuff and go, okay, well, here's a list of the development stuff, right? This stuff is possible, like, vote on it. Respond to it. Get players interested to kind of, pinpoint, help Kabam, because that's what we're doing here. If Kabam think they know what's best for the player base, but the player base is saying, look, we avoid doing this, focus on this. You can't develop this, do this. Masteries 2.0, we would prefer this, we like this, do more of this, please. A new type of alliance-based participation mode. Great, let's do it. Just that level of feedback that just goes, Kabam, player base, boom, load of ideas, you just kind of like give us your thoughts back on them, and then what the player base does is give you an indication of what we like. It's just wow, that, what an idea, wow. I'm being sarcastic, by the way, with that, but I do think that the roadmaps are helpful. But if Kabam are unwilling to do it, change the script. Come up with a new idea to kind of integrate stuff. Hey everybody, this is the idea of the things that we can develop or likely to develop in 2022 or 2023. What were your thoughts on this? And you just get a load of people giving you information that's going to be helpful to the development process. My God. And now we move on to Battlegrounds. Speaking of development processes and things, and cheating in Battlegrounds is still very much a prevalent thing, and it is annoying. People winning in about 2 seconds, mods, hacks, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff that just makes you just go, oh, the game mode. But it's in beta. That's the main thing, right? Kabam are doing a great job with Battlegrounds at the moment. It is in beta for a reason. Kabam need to figure out a way of dealing with these particular players. But on the topic of cheaters, which I think is important to kind of like say that, because people worried that Kabam won't do anything. I've had a few people message me with stuff saying, will Kabam deal with these people? Well, some stuff has already started, and I'm sure that it will happen further at the end of, the modes running beta. Yesterday, someone from the team went through and did a round of bans of modding. I believe the number was just shy of 100. And it's not, and if I'm not mistaken, many of the targets were the result of support ticket reports. So, well, that's not particular. It's not great, to be honest. But it's bans. I take positives here. They did mention they were not visually removed from the leaderboard and are investigating more into why that's the case. Investigation because beta. Yeah. This was independent of the final sweep of the leaderboard between the end of the season and rewards distribution. Always my big concern was how it affects the latter. The latter being that if you require if you say that you've run into about 2-3 cheaters, it meant that you missed out on a rank that's going to give you some of the rewards that you require, especially for, you know, the more spicier things at 2,500 to 0 to 100 1,000 position. Then it can be annoying. How they look to then re-reward those players that lost out as a result. Again, we get into Alliance Wars territory here, Alliance Wars season territory, and this is something, you know, I'd like to see down the line dealt with Kabam. But yeah, let's face it, a lot of these accounts are probably going to start again, or these players are probably going to go, do you know what, I'm just going to do it again, I'm just going to like start a new account and do the same thing the next beta, because they can do, but you know, we'll have to see what Kabam plan to deal with this. But at least to say, some positive news is people are being banned. And now let's finish the show as we normally do with arena results. We've got arena results here for Sauron and we got Thor. And here we are with the results. So we've got here with Sauron, a bit of a surprise with Sauron. I did get my prediction wrong for Sauron in that he went a little bit higher than normal. Actually 10 mil more than I predicted that. That was the one I wasn't too worried about. But yeah, 76 mil got position 41, 64 mil got position 95, close to where that kind of cutoff point is. And then the 5-star, got fun with that prediction, but yeah, like 17 mil. And to be honest, I think that if we see more results, shout out to everybody over Twitter, community tab, and as well the Discord that gave results for this. I'm sure that we would have seen, because 344 down to 500 position would probably be close to about, like, you know, 14 mil for that one. So we need to kind of see some full results. But with Thor, we've got a position 94 and 95, close to that 74 mil point, which I am surprised about. But at the same time, I did think that there was a chance it could go close to that 80 mil mark. When it comes to the 5-star version, at least like 33.4 mil is getting 359, so it could be a case close to the end point of 28, 29 mil. You could be looking for that, but it's always best to be safe than sorry with this particular stuff and this grind. So round 2, I'm predicting 80 mil again for Thor, the 6-star. 35 mil, possibly reducing down that to 30 mil, but again, better to be safe than sorry. Sauron is a 6-star, 68 mil, just again to be safe on this particular subject, and an 18 mil again, but you probably want to downgrade that once the results come into about 16 mil. But yeah, those have been the results and predictions for round 2 of these particular arenas. And finally, we end by saying massive thank you to those who support the channel as a YouTube member and as a Patreon, who are on screen right now. Thank you very much for giving that love and support. Also, those that support over on twitch.tv/RichTheMan live. There's a good chance I will be live streaming tonight. If not, it will be tomorrow night. So look out for that stream to go and renew your Prime subs. Finally, check out some other content which is located on screen right now, and I will see you in the next video, which should be a Galan dissection on his energy, powers, and other stuff. That could be a bit of a threat for MCOC, but maybe not. We'll have to check that out in a second. Bye bye.